somewhere, so let me find it. And I really appreciate Colonel Woolen not reading the bio, because one of the things you find, the longer the bio is, it makes you realize how much older you've become. So I got to figure out a way to shorten that. But I really want to thank you for the introduction, and I really appreciate the invitation from Colonel Woolen and Sergeant Major for inviting me here to come speak. This is very special for me, obviously, because I have Tyler here as part of it, but also because when I left Offutt Air Force Base this morning in Omaha, Nebraska, it was 4 degrees with snow on the ground. So I truly appreciate the opportunity to come here to sunny California and enjoy this weather and enjoy the company of all of you. So I thank you very much for that. So you guys ought to be excited. You're almost done, right? Seniors? Whoa. Okay, I'm glad you learned the HUA word, because you know the HUA word is a very special part of Army culture. I have to explain that to my Navy Admiral boss all the time, and the other Air Force people I'm surrounded with up at Offutt Air Force Base. They don't get it. My boss asked me one day, he said, "So TJ, what's up with this HUA thing?" I said, "Sir, I don't even know if I can spell it properly, because I've seen it spelled about 10 different ways." I said, "But you really wouldn't understand it because it's an Army kind of thing. It's a lifestyle. And it sounds like you guys know it, understand it, and live it every single day. Because there were some pretty cool videos that we saw in that intro up here tonight. So it's good to see that. But I'm sure you've heard this before, and hopefully you have. You are the less than 1% of the population that has volunteered to come out and serve and put yourselves in harm's way. And that's very, very special. And I just want to personally thank you all for doing that in the capacity. And many of you are prior service, have already served. I've seen the combat stripes on some of your sleeves. And I just want to thank you for your service and what you've done and what you're going to do here in the future. I do have one slight concern, though. You know, as I stood in the reception line and got to meet all of you and shake your hands, I'm very glad that they brought dates tonight to expose them to this Army lifestyle and what this is all about. But there's still a number of you that didn't have dates. Now, you guys are living in Southern California. You got a Zusa Pacific right here, which I think has like a 7-to-1 female-to-male ratio. Some kind of craziness like that. You think when you get to Fort Bragg, it's going to get any better than that? I don't think so. So, you know, as an attack helicopter guy, we call this a target-rich environment. Some of you got a little bit of work left to do and some retraining, but I'm sure you'll get there. Now, normally at this point in a ceremony like this, which you'll soon find out when you leave and go on into the Army and different places where you're going, there's a grog. And I would have had about 2 or 3 drinks off of that grog by now. Having not had that opportunity, I'm not really sure where this speech might go, but we're going to give it a shot, okay? I got to talk about leadership. I'm going to talk about 3 things. I'm going to talk about leadership, training, and what the Army expects from you. I have to address leadership first and foremost because that's really why you're here. That is why we as a nation have dedicated the resources to train and prepare you. We want you to lead our soldiers. And the soldiers we have are the finest soldiers in the world, and they require the finest leaders in the world to lead them forward. The Army is an organization of people, and this really didn't hit me as much until this job that I'm currently in, which is a joint job up at Offutt Air Force Base. And I'm exposed to a lot of Navy, Air Force, and some of the other services. You know, the Army being an organization of people, our primary instrument of power is our soldiers. The Navy has multi-billion-dollar carrier strike groups. The Air Force is heavily invested in technology, but we have boots on the ground. Some of our boots, especially those 18 to 20-year-olds, require lots of leadership. That's where you come in. They are the most intelligent, innovative, and courageous soldiers in the world. But God bless them, they are young, passionate, and fired up. And they will surprise you every single day. They need leaders to focus their intellect, their energy, and keep them safe. I've always been amazed at how much difference just one leader can make in an organization. And it's not always the most senior leader in that organization. It may very well be the most junior, which will be some of you as you enter into your new profession year. Leadership, more than any other element, will ensure the success or failure of an organization. Positive, motivational leadership, the kind that encourages soldiers to succeed. Leadership that truly believes in mission first and people always. Leaders not intimidated by delegating and empowering their subordinates. That's what we're looking for in our leaders today that we need to take us into the future. In my opinion, the most effective technique is simply leadership by example, along with what I call shared risk. The leader should always strive to set the standard. You should strive to be the subject matter expert in all areas of your profession. You should strive to be the best rifle shot, have the best APFT score, maintain the highest moral standard. In other words, you should lead from the front. Now, if you notice, I use the strive word because we all aren't always going to be the best rifle shot. I just use that as an example. But as long as you're striving and trying and putting out the effort, that's what's important. This will register with soldiers. They want leaders to lead. They don't need another friend. They need leaders, and that's what your job's going to be. And I'm not just talking about battlefield physical courage here, although that is a key component to what you're going to do. I'm speaking of moral courage, standing up for the values of the Army, standing your ground when you know you're right, and that's not always an easy thing to do. Believe it or not, but there will be times when your soldiers might disappoint you. They might let you down. They might conduct themselves in a manner that's less than what you would expect. There's no single simple answer to this. Every situation is different that you're going to have to handle, and each must be judged on its own merit. As you go through the decision process, that might possibly lead to disciplinary action. I ask that you remember a couple of things. First of all, most of these kids are 18 to 20 years old. Think back to when you were 18 years old and what you were doing. And the second thing is, those kids are also part of that less than 1% that has volunteered to put themselves in harm's way. A little bit of compassion in a leader can be a very positive motivational incentive for a formation. So I just ask that you take that into consideration. Here's another news flash. Everything's not going to go perfect in your formation. Sometimes things well beyond your control are going to go wrong. Bad things will happen. What is important is what you do about it and how you personally respond. You will be scrutinized by your subordinates in every crisis. They're looking to see how you will respond. What is your outward demeanor? Do you exude confidence, calmness, and order, or does your demeanor inflame further complication of the situation? Stop, think, and then transmit your message. That's all part of leadership. Now, the good news is, remember, you're not in this alone. You have the best NCO Corps in the world to lean upon. They're an amazing asset that only the U.S. Army has. So lean on them and take advantage of that, of their skill set. Okay, now training. Second only to leadership is training. Your formation will fight as they train. If you fail to properly train your team, they will fail in combat. You should make your training regime harder than what they will find on the battlefield, both mentally and physically. That is what that piece about they need